Hi, John Rubin at Sin City Sports Investments here for PickCity.com. Here with Troy from Counter-Strike Betting Master. Although right now it's March Madness Betting Master for good reason. Troy, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Every time there's a Friday night, it's a good night.
That's well. We'll get to whether or not it was a good night in just a little bit, as we sit here at the conclusion of one of the worst NBA bad beats you might ever see. But we'll get to that. Counter Strike Betting Master, March Madness Betting Master. How you? I mean, your Friday is not has not gone the way that we had hoped, but otherwise, how's the rest of your week been?
The rest of the week has been pretty good. Our VIP, we're up 40 units so far this week, which is a remarkable start. And hopefully we can finish off strong. We did have a little hiccup tonight, but that's why you don't go all in on one play.
That's for
They're
sure.
in it for the long haul.
It is a tough racket, and we will get to that in a moment. For that's a little teaser for you in the media world. So give me your background, just how you got interested in sports in the first place, and how that turned into sports betting, and how you got in with Pick City.
Yeah, most definitely. So I always followed and watched sports my whole life. I started betting probably back that 2010. I was 18, started making a little bit of money, and went to the casino, and I found Bovada, which is one of the biggest sports books out there, and I started basically betting on sports. Started with NFL, started branching out, just like everyone else. I was degenerate. I was chasing my money, all the don'ts you want to do, and then you learn from your lessons. And I ended up opening up Twitter. They have a big gambling world, I found out. Part of my pick really helped me out getting started. He taught me a lot about bankroll management. And then I found Pick City. They have been awesome. All the different cappers, Pick City, I absolutely love. And, it's kind of strange because we never meet these people in person, but they almost seem like they're my best friends. And everyone is really smart at what they do. They know their bankroll management. They know their discipline. And it's really beneficial having a crew like that.
It's amazing having been involved with Pick City. Now, I've been involved with them for about a year and a half. Not selling picks anymore, just doing the media stuff. But with that, it is amazing how much everybody supports each other. And even though pretty much everybody involved are technically competitors with each other, everybody's willing to help everybody's business grow, give advice, retweet, promote each other as best as you can. And it is a true community of cappers that are, like you said, I've never met you face to face. I've never met any of these guys face to face, but I've had enough of these calls. I've spoken to people, privately on the phone and DMs and texts, and you just know that these are good people. And, sports bettors, especially ones that sell picks, will frequently get a bad rap, and then sometimes for good reason, but not this group. This group is as genuine and down to earth as you will ever find on gambling Twitter. So definitely check that out, pickcity.com. Do a search for Counter-Strike Betting Master. Maybe it's March Madness Betting Master in the system now, not sure, but something Betting Master. I mean, eventually it'll be Baseball Betting Master and Hot Dog Eating Betting Master and whatnot. So with that, now you said when you got started, you were kind of a degen like everybody was. You made a lot of mistakes. What are some of the do's and don'ts that you've picked up along the way?
Yeah, most definitely. There's so many out there. I'll give a couple of do's. I'll give a couple of don'ts. One of the biggest do's is you have a system in place. If you follow cappers, trust it. The number one thing is trust. Everyone's going to have their losing nights. No one's perfect out there. If they say they're perfect, I'll put money on it that is false.
Yeah.
If you go on a losing streak, find out what's going on, make improvements, and get better. And the other do is I'm a big fan of live bets when you're disciplined about it. Don't be putting 10 live bets on one team because your max play keeps going down. If you have a max play and they're down at halftime, you trusted that play in the beginning because there's so much value, and now you're getting them at a better price. Put about half your money from the max on it, and you might be able to cash both, which I'll get into probably later. And then a couple of don'ts. The number one thing, don't chase.
Yeah.
Accept your losses. There's always a new day in gambling. You're going to experience losses because you lost one play. Don't double your unit size on the next play and go chasing your money. And then the other thing I want to say is don't go all in on one play. I've seen this so many times. People message me, they're, oh, that's your max? I'm going all in. My 5-minute max is 5% of my bankroll. Don't be going all in on one play because there's so many plays out there you're going to miss on great opportunities.
That's right. It's so important. We talked about this earlier, is that, picking winners is tough enough, and you can get pretty good at that, over time. But what's even more difficult than that is staying disciplined. It's way too easy to chase losses or to double down when, one of your plays is going well, one system is going well. Stick to that. You just said the 5-unit max, 5% of your betting bankroll. And that actually goes into my next question, is when we talk about bankroll management. So 5 units, 5%, which would lead me to believe that 1% would be 1 unit. So when you give out a free pick on Twitter or something like that, oh, hey, here's a 1-unit free play, that means 1% of your betting bankroll, right?
Exactly. And the reason why I have 1% as my unit is because I'm a high volume bettor. If you're a lower volume bettor, then you can go 2% of your bankroll. I've seen people do 5%, but they only have 1 or 2 plays a day. There's sometimes where I'm betting 25%, 30% of my bankroll in one day, usually on the weekends when there's a lot of plays. I trust the system. I keep it at 1%. And speaking of bankroll, I did develop a small system, which anyone can message me. I'll send you my theory on this. But basically, you start off with any amount you want. Everyone has a different bankroll. And if you're able to double that bankroll, which is not too hard to do, it does take time, then withdraw half of that and start how you got there, start that all over. Because that way you have the house's money right there. And then you do it again. If you're able to double again, then you can possibly think about increasing your bankroll. But the reason why I do that is every time you withdraw from the bookie, it's awesome. Keep that money to the side. You might have to deposit again in the future, but if you do, you're depositing with their own money, and that's the best feeling out.
You're literally playing with the house's money. That's the idea. That's fantastic. And if you're in such a position, I would recommend the exact same thing for sure. And you're a high volume bettor, so am I. It's not uncommon for a regular season college basketball Saturday, when you also have hockey and NBA and English Premier League going on, that you may have 30 to 40 picks. Now, I'm even more conservative, and a lot of times I'll go half a unit per play, just because, again, if something terrible happens, like what we're going to talk about here next, if something terrible happens and you have just a god-awful day, you know what? You live to fight another day.
Yeah, that's very true. I 100% agree with that.
So we go on now to what we've been teasing for a while. I like to ask everybody on these interview segments about good bad beat or lucky win stories. And, the bad beats tend to sting a lot more than lucky wins feel good, but they sting even more when the game concludes about 2 seconds before we hit the air. So, Troy, the floor is yours.
Man, so I started off the day, and I gave it's my max play of the day, and I actually gave it free on Twitter today. Normally, I keep my free matches away from free. It's normally for VIP. Free Twitter, I said 200 retweets and likes. You get the 5-unit max. They showed the love. I delivered the max play, and man, it was looking good until about when we hit record. It was 15 plus 5. They were up at halftime. They were looking good.
They were up 15 going into the fourth. Up 15 points going into the fourth.
I'm all getting ready, thinking I was going to be so excited for this. I even had one unit on the money plate there, the money line, and they fell apart towards the end, and we lost by 1 point after being up by 15 in the fourth quarter. Just outrageous.
For those that are going to watch this immediately after this gets posted, the Rockets entering the game as +5 underdogs go into the fourth quarter leading the game outright by 15 points, get outscored in the fourth quarter 31-10, and end up losing, obviously straight up, but not covering by a single point.
Yeah, and bad beats happen.
Yeah.
That's why I only had 5% of my bankroll on it. And tomorrow's a new day,
That's
and we
right.
still have other plays today, and I'm confident those are going to be good. And every bad beat has a lucky win. I know.
Yep.
Last night, my max it was New York Knicks -3. They were down by 15 at halftime, and a lot of people commenting, this is over. When just like I said earlier with my live plays, when they're down, I live bet them. I put 3 units, second half -5.5. Basically, they have to lose 9 or better. Hopefully, I'm thinking hopefully I can at least medal it. The Knicks come storming back just like Minnesota did against against Houston. And the Knicks end up making the last free throw, and they won by 4 points where we covered by 1 point. We made 8 units on that play last night because of our live.
See, that's good to turn the frown upside down. Let's start with the bad news and end with the good news. I'll give you a good, I'll share this just very quickly. My favorite lucky win story, I don't think I've shared this on any of the interviews before, but this is my all-time favorite. The Super Bowl last year, so not against the Bucs, but the Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl. I had bet early on, I bet Mahomes rush yards over 24.5, and that skyrocketed to 29.5, and I bet the under. Well, he was at 33, 34, 35 yards toward the end of the game, and he took those knees at the end, which goes against your rushing yards, landed 29 on the dot, middled it perfectly. Could not have drawn it up better. So I doubt that I will ever have one quite that lucky ever again. So I'm going to stick to that one for a while. So with that, we're talking NBA. Of course, your March Madness / Counter-Strike betting master. I just mentioned the Super Bowl. What is your favorite sport to bet and why?
Yeah, there's so many sports out there. When the sports went away during COVID, Counter-Strike became my most favorite because it was the only thing on. And but recently with UFC, they were still going, they were still active. And to be honest, I've always loved UFC, and it's one of the most exciting sports out there. I would have to choose UFC as my favorite. It's so awesome when you have a guy and he gets a knockout in the first couple seconds, first couple minutes, and sometimes even when you lose a bet in the UFC, it's an exciting knockout, exciting finish, and you still get that entertainment value. And I even collected a UFC belt.
I see that.
I'm starting to get into UFC trading cards, and the biggest thing on the capper side from UFC is there's controllable factors because you're betting on one person instead of a whole team. And I'll even watch the interviews of the fighters because you can see where their mindset's at. There's so many times where one guy has a bigger talent than the other, but you can tell in the interviews he's not fully focused on that fight and he doesn't show up. And that's the biggest things to look for when it comes to capping UFC. But overall, it's definitely my favorite sport to bet on, to watch, everything UFC.
That's a really interesting point that you bring up with the interviews because people make so much of what head coaches say during the press conferences and what the players say when the microphones are shoved in their face and things like that. And usually it's just a bunch of da-da-da-da-da, but nothing real comes out of their mouth, and you can't really take a whole lot from it. But UFC, these are not, media professionals, right? So they will speak their mind, and you can really, sort of read their poker face a little bit and see where they really are. So that's a very interesting philosophy. I personally am not huge into UFC. I respect that sport, to no end, But I've never been able to get into it from a betting side. But good for you, man. You're clearly very successful at it, and you've got the belt to prove it. So that's fantastic. So as we wrap up here, do you have a pick? Of course, we're recording this. It's almost 11 o'clock Eastern time. So most of the action is done or underway. But to that point, do you have anything going on tomorrow? Do you have any futures that you would like to share?
Yeah, I'll be giving my free bet degenerate parlays out there. I do that every day. I'll throw out some others, especially to make up for this Max that lost. I'm always trying to hook up free Twitter. You guys showed the support. I gotta get your money back, but we're not going to be chasing. We never do. So I'll get it back. We'll hit the degen tomorrow. But overall, I would say a free bet. I'm going to have to go with baseball. Baseball's coming up. I'm going to be, speaking of free bets, I'm going to be doing live free bets for hits every single inning. I'll choose different games. I'll try every day. I got life going on most days. I'll have this going where we're going to be betting yes hit or no hit each different inning during a particular game. I started doing this towards the end of last season. I was hitting about 70% on those, and I want to offer them for free on Twitter. They're awesome bets. They're fun. Each different inning. To give the show, everyone watching, a free bet. I really like this one. It's a futures one. And I am a little biased on it, but I'm going with Padres to win the World Series plus 800. I'm originally from San Diego, lifelong San Diego fan, and we're one of the best cities out there. Unfortunately, we don't have a national championship, and it's up to the Padres to get that done. The Chargers left our city. It's time for the Padres. We got Tatis. We got Machado. One of the biggest things with the Padres is our pitching has not been good, especially our bullpen. We loaded up our bullpen during the trades this season. For starters, we got Yu Darvish. We got Blake Snell. Still Chris Paddock. Man, I really like the value, plus 800 on the Padres. I know it's not a popular pick. I'll be seeing you guys at the end of the season.
Well, I tell you, of course, everybody and their uncle is going to be thinking about the Dodgers in that division, but we've seen it countless times before where teams that stack all this talent just can't quite put it all together. Will there be a World Series hangover, right? We don't know. Will the pitching staff hold up? Will there be any massive injuries that become a problem? Will there be too many personalities in the clubhouse? This has happened with the Yankees how many times? They haven't won the World Series since 2009. So you just never know. And if the Padres should happen to come out of that division, certainly as champions, but even if they happen to grab a wild card in advance, you never know what the Dodgers will do in a short series. They could completely implode in the playoffs, giving the path for San Diego to move on. Nobody else in the National League impresses me as much as them other than the Dodgers. So I think if they do happen to make the playoffs, you're certainly not going to see them at plus 800 to win the World Series. So if you like them to make the playoffs, you might as well just throw the plus 800 on them now, right? So I like that play. I really like that play a lot. And may I say, this is not a fashion show by any stretch, but the Padres brown and yellow, beautiful. Beautiful. So glad they got rid of that plain blue and white. There was nothing there. But the brown and yellow just brings me back to my childhood with a bit of a new flair to it. It is fantastic.
I 100% agree on that. I remember them wearing those back in the old days. And I'm glad they're bringing it back. It's the Friar style.
Exactly. Now, I'm not saying go back to the 70s with the all mustard yellow and brown. Okay, let's not get crazy. But what they have right now, just perfect. Leave it alone. I'll throw out a future for you as well, because this is one that I had shared on a different show, not for this channel. But as a Cincinnati guy, you see the Reds hat back there. I'm not necessarily a Reds fan. I've just grown up here and lived here my whole life. I do like the Reds season win total over 82.5. When I got it, it was juiced at plus 130. And I think there's a ton of value there because, A, the Reds made the playoffs last year with virtually no offense. So there's nowhere to go but up. That's one. Two, despite losing Trevor Bauer, their pitching is still fantastic, maybe the best in the division when you consider Castillo, Sonny Gray, and you've got some other young guys that were really impressive last year, considering how inexperienced they were. And then beyond that, the rest of the division, I mean, the Cardinals are clear favorites, as well they should be, with Goldschmidt and with Nolan Arenado now. But beyond that, the Cubs are rebuilding, Brewers rebuilding, Pirates are always rebuilding. So there's a path there for the Reds to amass a certain number of wins. You're really only asking them to have a winning season plus one game. And if they made the playoffs last year with no offense, if they can just improve that a little bit, they're going to get there again. So Reds over 82.5 wins. I had to think about that for a second, plus 130. And then for you, you've got the Padres going to the World Series. I hope we can see each other in the playoffs, and then we're going to do this in October again. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I'm all for it. I can definitely see that. I honestly might even make that bet. A playoff matchup, Padres versus Cincinnati.
I would
some good juice on that.
I would love to see it, because if nothing else, one of our sad city teams, one of our sad sack teams is going to actually win a playoff series, which will be great because neither of us have seen that in a long time.
I know, seriously, but yeah, if that does happen, we're definitely going to run this back in October, and I'm sure we'll have a little something on the side between.
Oh yeah,
I think it would be a lot of fun.
You know it. So check out Counter-Strike Betting Master, March Madness Betting Master this week anyway. Go to pickcity.com. In the search field, put in Counter-Strike Betting Master or March. I think you only your Twitter is March Madness Betting Master now. I think on Pick City you're still Counter-Strike Betting Master, but that's apt to change every now and then. But in any event, still go to pickcity.com. Put in Counter-Strike Betting Master. When you sign up, put in promo code SinCity10, CINCITY10. You'll get 10% off your order. And on that note, Troy, anything else you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate everyone watching this. I appreciate all the followers on Twitter. All the cappers out there are here to make you money. We built systems. We know what we're doing. We're in it for the long run. We appreciate the support. And I hope everyone crushes the bookies out there. That's the main goal. And it's always good having that extra money, especially when it comes from the bookies.
You're exactly right about that. Well, Troy, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. You can follow Counter-Strike Betting Master on Twitter at an address that I will post in the description, because I'm not going to repeat it here. But on that note, thanks for coming on. I hope we can do this again, especially in October.
Yes, that would be exciting times. And even if it doesn't happen in October, I'm sure it'll happen again. So
that's right.
To a second run.
That's right. So on that note, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Everybody take it easy. Good luck with your bets, and we'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.